Hey guys, welcome to Two Seals and a Walrus Season 2. I am here to give you a little bit of an intro on this one because after a couple of months of taking off some time to do holidays and whatnot, and with our busy schedules, we came back into the studio, we moved one of the cameras, one of the inputs got changed, and the audio on this episode got ruined, basically. But through the help of a couple of audio engineers that are new friends to the show, we were able to isolate the audio from one of the microphones that was generally in the room. So it's not going to be these microphones that sound nice and pretty. It's going to be one microphone that was kind of centrally located. So it'll sound like somebody set an iPhone on the table and recorded the whole thing, but it's an actual camera microphone that's in operation at the time. But forgive us for that because we always bring you the pristine audio and video. We do have some awesome episodes coming up that are technically sound, including another one with Randall Carlson here in the next week or so, and another interview with Julia Albright, who is an author of a really interesting book on what the screens are doing to our society and our kids and our minds, etc. Really, really cool episode. You definitely don't want to miss. But please forgive us on this one. The audio semi-sucks a little bit. It's really clear. You can hear it. You can hear what people are saying. It's not as pristine as this. But the content is funny as hell because the boys are talking about a bunch of training stories and the stuff associated with that, connected with going through Navy SEAL training. It's really a treat. You guys will love it. Talk to you in a minute.
Hey, welcome to Two Seals and a Walrus. I'm your host, Sean Webb. Welcome to Season 2 of Two Seals and a Walrus, the only show on the internet that has two United States Navy SEALs as co-hosts. To my right, as always, we have Ben Johnson, United States Navy Sniper and Medic. And to his right, we have Doug Moulton, United States Navy SEAL Sniper. It's been a while since we got together and hung out to do one of these things. And so I wanted to just welcome you guys back to the show, welcome our listeners back to the show. We haven't disappeared. We have gotten a lot of comments that, hey, where the fuck have you guys gone? And I was just like, I didn't want to say, hey, we do this shit for ourselves, not for you, so pipe down.
But now we're saying it.
Yeah, but now we're saying it. So.
No, but it's been a while. So I called it Season 1 to Season 2 because we took a break, like, for the holidays and shit like that.
Yeah.
We had stuff to do, It's like, this isn't our primary job quite yet, although we're hoping it to be someday. But so what did you guys do over the holiday break? Like a whole bunch of shit happened. Like, I don't know. Well, like,
don't skip me.
Womp womp.
So, all right, what I did, I hung around with the family, went down to Florida, saw some family, hung out for the holidays, played a little poker, had some fun there, won some money. That was nice. And just kind of hung out and got the house organized. We redid the entire first floor of the house. So I did
Yeah, that was good.
a bunch of floors, a bunch of wall painting, new furniture, all that shit that we took care of over the last month.
Yeah, if I knew you were that good at stuff, I would have made you come down and help me with my house projects.
We put his ass to work.
Yeah, you guys
You really held those cards close to your chest.
You got some painting done too, though, right?
Yeah, actually, I got a lot of painting done. I'm almost done repainting the entire interior.
Yeah, that's tough. I hate that. With all the it's not the painting that's the problem. It's
Fucking taping.
It's the tape.
Yeah, I hadn't painted in years. And I was like, oh yeah, I'll do the whole first floor in a weekend. That was what I thought.
Oh.
It's been a month now.
Oh yeah.
So almost done the first floor. Yeah. I am blindly optimistic at times. Which is good though, because it's like, my fiance, I'll be like, oh yeah, I made this list of 10 things I'm going to get done today. She's like, you're going to get done 2 of those. I was like, no.
No, I put
I'm gonna get done
10 on the list.
All 10.
Yeah. That's why I wrote it.
I always do that.
So I wrote it on the paper.
All right, so we're going to go through some of the comments today, but I've decided against that. But we're going to take one of the comment suggestions that says, a number of comments actually came in and said, hey, why don't you tell us a little bit more about you guys so we can understand who it is we're listening to and hanging out with. And so I wanted to do that today. I wanted to, and specifically because, we have the shtick of Two Seals and a Walrus, I wanted to go through, like, your guys' 50,000-foot view story of, how, like, who you were before you went into the military and became an elite operator, and then the story of how you went through that whole process and where you wound up to where you are today, right? So I guess we'll just do.
So it's going to be a 5-hour episode?
No, yeah, exactly.
Mine will be short.
No, but we'll start with, like, Doug, we'll have this section of the show be for you, and we will start with where did you go to high school? Like, how was your family life growing up? Do you have siblings and what all that stuff? Give us a synopsis of who you were before you joined the military, and then we can start from there. So,
Sure.
Where did you grow up?
In a house.
No,
No, I'm not going to make this painful. No, so I grew up in Maine, kind of pretty rural.
Yeah.
I always kind of describe it as I grew up, the house we had, it was super quiet. It was a small farm.
Yeah.
We had a big barn. 3 older sisters, big old barn. Then, sorry, I'm getting so sidetracked.
I had a couple of sisters in a barn.
Yeah. I just described my life.
What's
I just described my life as having a couple sisters in a barn.
Next question.
Oh man, I'm really articulate
You didn't
today.
use up your full minute and a quarter.
Next question. Yeah, I mean, I grew up being a little bit of a nature boy, I guess. I always like the outdoors.
Yeah.
Not in a hippie, I don't work kind of way, but
Or in the Ric Flair kind of way.
or the Ric Flair kind of way. But I grew up hunting, fishing. I still like doing those things. I think it's important to kind of stay in touch with nature a little.
Yeah.
Anyway, so went to college there. Swam in college.
Okay, so now did you swim in high school? Did you have a high school swim team?
So I was actually playing football because I thought that was a cool thing to do.
Okay.
Then
What position were you?
Let's see. My freshman year, I was starting wide receiver for the. I was starting wide receiver and backup safety
Okay.
because I was a little skinny to hit someone hard.
You were skinny
I had to get up speed.
and speedy,
Yeah.
and you had good hands, obviously, because you.
I had good hands when people were on me. If I was wide open, I dropped the ball. And my coach is. Well, what's funny is my coach is like, Doug, why do you always need pressure to catch the ball? Fast forwarding, when I swam in college, I got pulled into my athletic academic advisor, and she asked me the same question. It was then in college I realized, I need pressure for him. I didn't really understand that.
Yeah.
Gotta have stakes.
Yeah. Otherwise,
I can relate to that because I used to play tennis in high school and was on the tennis team. And
I didn't really invented rackets back then.
Yeah, we're playing with wooden rackets on grass.
Men only.
We used the bladder of a pig blown up to hit.
No, but I would play to the level of my opponent.
Yeah.
I would always play almost to the point where I could win. Like I could be playing the best person ever, and I would stay even with them, and then they would win.
You'd lose to your opponent's level?
Yeah, I would lose to my opponent's level.
That's an amazing talent.
And then I would play the shittiest person that I was supposed to just hand them the worst defeat, and they would wind up almost beating me. Like I would win those, but then it would be. So yeah, I get that where you just perform under pressure. Yeah.
So beginning of my sophomore year, I would play my sophomore year. I'd play the JV game, then I'd play varsity. Just super fun. And then the JV game, I was the starting wide receiver, so it was good enough to start on JV for safety. Safety. And it was the last 3 minutes of the game. This story's significant. I'll explain. I'll get there. The running back, he was huge, huge for high school. At least how my memory serves me. I remember thinking he was a lot bigger than me, and this was gonna hurt. But I went to he got around our defense, and I went to tackle him, or I was running after him, and this fucker, he could have gone right in the end zone, right? Instead, he just turned to hit me. He ran through me, and I wasn't expecting it because I was just about, and then he dropped his shoulder into my head.
Oh, that's not fun.
Oh yeah, so bad concussion. So I don't really remember the rest of this game. I really don't. I remember a couple things. I
don't remember any of my childhood. Entirely.
And next, I woke up this morning. So yeah, what's up? Who are you?
I'm 15.
Yeah, so not really knowing what a concussion was. I remember feeling confused and being confused to why I was confused.
Right.
And the one thing I remember was going to the huddle. After I don't remember what time gap this was. I went to the huddle and I remember staring at everyone, not understanding. I remember not understanding what the fuck they were talking about. What the next play was.
Yeah.
And the next thing I remember was the quarterback yelling at me because I just was staring at him, and the huddle had broke. I was standing there. So this is the next thing I remember and was told to me after. So I go to the line. Sorry, this was offense. I go to the line for wide receiver. Now I remember. I go to the line for wide receiver, and I remember just looking around and being like, what is this? Right? And he hiked the ball, and for some reason, I was offense. I sprinted and tackled the cornerback. The coach was like, what the fuck was that? So they pulled me out of the game. There was only like 2 minutes left. You know, I was still really confused.
Yeah, and this is before like all the concussion science.
Oh yeah, and I remember our medical guy. I'll never forget this. And I was too out of it to be offended.
Right.
He goes, "Stop faking whatever you're faking because you don't want to finish the game."
Walk it up, pussy.
And I remember not being able to respond, being like, "What?" Yeah, so really funny. This is the guy a high school hires to make sure students are healthy and safe. Fuck you, guy.
Right.
So, anyways, I'm standing there,
Quit being a pussy.
really confused, and then next thing I remember, we're in the locker room, like de-jockeying and cleaning up, and I remember I got tunnel vision really bad,
Oh man.
and I didn't know what that was, and I remember just sitting down because I could only see out of like a paper tube, and I remember just sitting there being like, and I wasn't scared. I was just like, this is so weird. What am I doing? And my parents picked me up, and I had a student council meeting that night. And so I'm at student council. And thank God the guy who ran student council, he was also a coach.
Right.
Who wasn't an idiot like the medical guy for the football team. And I kept leaving the meeting to go puke. Whatever. I was a tough little kid. I was like, I was just puking. I'd go puke. Come back to the meeting, go puke again. And he's like, Doug, come here. Pulls me outside. He's like, hey, what is going on with you? I was like, I don't know. My head hurts. And he's like, wait a second. He's like, do you have a JV game today? And I was like, mm-hmm. He goes, do you take a really big hit today? I go, holy shit, how'd you know that? He goes, I know that because you're concussed right now. You need to go home. And so, thank God, he identified it.
Yeah.
You know, I went to the hospital and everything, but...
Nobody else thought that bleeding out of the ears was weird?
This light tastes funny. You
guys hear that ocean?
So, yeah, that was... I knew enough about the rain at that time that I quit football.
Wow.
Yeah, I went to the coach. I was like, hey, I'm done. I go, that was a bad concussion. I know concussions only get worse from your first one.
Yeah.
I'm not going to risk my cognitive function for the rest of my life for a high school sport.
Yeah.
He wasn't happy about it, but he understood it. He's like, hey, we'd love to have you on anyways and, like, help out. I'm like, hey. I was like, and the coach, he was the coach also, the vice principal, and also my friend's dad. So it was a little easier conversation.
Yeah.
And I was like, hey, I'm going to be honest. I'm not going to be the water boy. I was like, I'm going to find another sport to do.
Right.
He's like, I get it. So then I started swimming my sophomore year of high school.
So, and then you found out you were good at that.
So this was really cool. This was like one of the 6 moments of my life that a small nudge made a big difference.
Right.
So I didn't even think about swimming, actually. I was at a football game after the concussion, watching my former team play. And family friend dad, his son was my older sister's class generation. And his son was like straight record breaking and everything, had like full offers for multiple sports. And he came up to me and he's like, hey, you're Doug Wilton. He's like, oh, I'm so-and-so. I was like, oh yeah. I was like, I know who your son is and I know who you are. My parents are friends with you guys. He's like, hey, you ever think about swimming? I was like, nope. And he goes, I heard about your concussion. He goes, I think you should try swimming. And his son was he won states, I think, 3 years in a row in high school. I mean, he still has pool records at the pool I ended up swimming at in college, but he broke those records when he was in high school.
Wow. Dang.
Yeah, really good swimmer. And he's like, hey, I can teach you how to swim. I remember saying this. I go, you know what? I go, I can try anything, and I'm decent. I'm mediocre at everything. I go, I'm kind of tired of doing that. I go, I want to be better than that. He's like, all right. He's like, I will get you there. He's like, but you have to do what I say. I was like, all right. And so he just started giving me one-on-one swim lessons. I had never swam other than like a lake. I had never swam in my life until sophomore year of high school.
Oh my God.
Yeah, so then I jumped in the deep end. Yeah, so it turned out I had a pretty good knack for swimming. I started my sophomore year, and then I ended up placing, I think, top 5 in a couple events in the state meet my senior year.
Holy cow.
and then I ended up still in college. It was D1, not a good D1, but still D1.
Yeah, where'd you go to school?
University of Maine.
University of
At
Maine.
Orono.
Okay. Not to
Um,
be mistaken with Maine State. I have no idea.
yeah, so there's like university, there's like, there's a few
Maine
Maine.
Polytechnic.
I think there is something like that actually.
Oh god.
Yeah, there's a
What the
few
fuck is Polytechnic even? What is that?
like polymers.
It's like the blue collar trade school for super high tech folks. It's like you go there to learn technical stuff.
Of multiple fields, I'm guessing.
Yeah.
Poly,
Right.
see what I did there?
Ben's gonna have to jump in his story. I gotta go see a man about a horse. I had some wings last night. I love wings, but man, I pay the man. I pay the man.
That buffalo doesn't go down easy.
It comes out easy.
So he's going to take a break to go to the bathroom. Doug's going to take a break to go to the bathroom, and we will start with Ben's story.
Oh Christ! All right, so my story about quitting football is way more pathetic and humiliating.
Wait, you quit football too?
Yeah, I did because I wasn't good enough, and it was shameful. And that's what happens when you're 18 and not good enough and shamed.
Hold on, our studio's falling apart. All right, so where did you go to school?
Yeah, and I went to high school in North Fulton County down in Atlanta.
Yeah.
Roswell, Alpharetta area.
Nice.
And
You were a wise ass.
nope. Dumber than shit, but I didn't know it, and I was a smart ass.
Right.
I had an easy time academically in school, so it was kind of like a playground almost the whole time.
Yeah.
And it was, I actually really enjoyed it, and I looked forward to going to college, at least at the time.
Yeah.
I had scholarships to all kinds of different places for academics and football and whatnot, and then I decided I want to go down to Georgia Southern because they had like pretty badass football team, and I thought that's where I was going to go become part of the NFL. Eventually, it'd be like the only white dude there that plays any position other than quarterback.
Yeah, because you were talented in football. in high
Well,
school.
talented is a far stretch. I was athletic, that's for sure.
Okay, so
And that never really subsided, I guess, until all the injuries later. But that was
because you showed me those pictures where you were beefy in high school, like you were a fucking Mack truck.
yeah. I graduated my senior year. I graduated. I was same height. I've been 5'10" since I was fucking 12th or 7th grade, since I was basically 12 years old.
Right.
I've been at like 5'10", 180 at least since I was in 7th grade. So
Wow.
I was already a grown man with a beard and everything. One of those cases where I basically peaked like middle school.
Right, right.
So that was that was its own set of problems for the ego, but everybody grew past me so fast. But I still was a big kid, and I moved pretty quick, and I could jump high and all that jazz.
Right.
Turns out that that's great for high school and warranting being played in high school.
Right.
And even possibly, depending on how good you look on paper and who edited your highlight reel, being recruited for college, which turns out was an interesting process in itself. But once I got to the college that I decided I was going to go, I went to Georgia Southern. Van Gordon was the coach at the time, and I realized pretty quickly and almost immediately took action upon it that I was not the caliber of football player that was like a minimum requirement at that level. I was not football savvy at all because I had spent my entire high school dicking around, not paying attention, and athletic strong-arming my way into positions because they couldn't afford to not have the biggest, fast dude on there.
Right.
And I had no brake pad. I would just throw 100% at everything, and I mean every single film was every post game film session where we sat down and critiqued it was basically just me sitting in a room of whatever team I was on and just getting ridiculed relentlessly about every single fuck up, and the reason we lost everything was always me. to the point where I just ended up getting sent on stunts every time I like touched the field.
Oh, that sucks.
Yeah, this is terrible. So I came to the harsh realization that I was not good enough to achieve my very rational dream of being like one of the top NFL players ever, and I quit college like Thanksgiving before I even came home for. I quit all of college. It was that much of a unrecoverable hit to my self-image, I guess, or whatever.
Yeah.
Whatever was going on in 18-year-old Ben's head, that I showed up at Thanksgiving break with all of my stuff that I took down to college. My parents were basically like, "Hey, you staying long?" And that's when I broke the news to them that I had forfeited the scholarships that I had acquired, and I had dropped out, and I had gotten some awesome advice. And I'm not being sarcastic there. I thought it was phenomenal in retrospect. It may have been a rash decision, but it all played out, I guess, from a Marine reservist who was living in the same dorm area. Actually, I went to school with Justin Lastic, who was on the Rogan podcast. He got his legs blown off last March.
Yeah.
Awesome fucking dude. And him and a buddy of his, AC, who's my roommate and my best friend growing up. AC and I were living together at school before I dropped out. And the four of us three, and then Marine Reservist Norman, we'd all, it was our little crew.
Yeah.
But we were playing cards one night on the pool table in the dorm lobby, and I was all butthurt about how it's just like so fucking inadequate. And then we were talking. I was like, "What's the coolest thing that fucking somebody can do in life? Like, what's the most badass thing ever?" And Norman had gone on this little rant about telling stories about SEAL teams and stuff, and he had come across a group of Navy SEALs, and I was like, yeah, fuck yeah, that sounds dope. Like, I'm gonna fucking do that. And everybody was kind of laughing it off.
Yeah.
Because apparently I was the only one that had not even heard anything about this or looked into it in any way.
Right.
And he's like, oh, that's pretty hard training now. Hey, you're talking about quitting like halfway through the semester of college over some nonsense, and you want to go do like the hardest training ever. I was like, yeah, fuck it. It's like, he's like, nobody ever makes that though. It's like, probably like 99.9% of people fucking quit on their own. It was some absurd, like, inflated number. It was like, apparently that was the nail in the coffin, because that was when I was immediately like, I'm definitely doing it now. So I literally the next morning went to the local area Navy recruiter, and I couldn't have signed those papers fast enough.
Wow.
And so I showed up home at Thanksgiving, and my parents were like, "Hey, you plan on staying long? All snide like that?"
Yeah.
So actually, I dropped out, got rid of all my scholarship. Said, join the Navy. What's up? They're like, fucking what?
Wow.
Yeah. So my parents.
So you came home and you said, "Hi, happy Thanksgiving.
What?
Here's all my shit that I've just quit my football scholarship
I said
from Georgia Southern."
I had academic stuff. I had this whole thing set up so we were paying like $1,000 a semester or something, and everything was set perfect. I was the first one to go to school. I was pretty much the only one that had a chance in my like proximal family, I guess.
Yeah.
Some extended family, some of the older folks that have been to college and finished and everything. But I was the only one that had a snowball's chance in hell of finishing at that time. And I totally went down there, threw away scholarships, dropped out, joined the Navy, came back.
Happy Thanksgiving.
Right. So, I started my Navy career, and then, with I failed a screener for the SEAL teams probably a goddamn million times. At least.
Really? Now see.
Oh, yeah, no. I feel I was like 220, 230 pounds. My ass was not doing pull-ups. I had never run a mile. Like, who runs them? I played football. You know how many times you have to run across that goddamn field to make a mile? That was never even a realistic thing in my life. And so you can imagine, I sure as fuck never swam laps. That's
Right.
ridiculous. I didn't belong in the water.
So here's the big difference between Ben and I is that I failed to swim and said, I'm done. And Ben fails to swim and he goes, no, let's go again.
So I actually didn't ever fail to swim, believe it or not.
Oh, okay. What did you fail?
Well, so I failed every run until like the last one I needed to actually get a contract, and then most of them after that. And I also failed every single time I did pull-ups until I squeezed out 6. Real nip dick effort. It's pathetic.
Wow.
And then I barely passed. This is back in like 2007. Yeah, till like the end of 2006, 2007. So it was back before. And he'd be a hipster. It was like right when being a SEAL was cool. So it wasn't like an influx of people where there's like so many people lined up on the outside of the pipeline that you had to have like Olympic class athlete numbers to even be considered for a contract.
Right.
I literally made it into the Navy with a contract with
Like the bare minimum.
55 push-ups.
I mean, the bare minimum for the contracts.
It's like 42
It's
push-ups.
really, really low on everything.
It's 42 push-ups. It's 50 sit-ups. Yeah, 42
Yeah.
push-ups, 50 sit-ups, six fucking pull-ups.
Yeah.
It couldn't be a lower number to be embarrassing, but and then like you have to run a mile and a half in 11 minutes, and I think you had to swim 500 yards in like 12 minutes and 30 seconds, or some absurdly long.
By the way,
time.
the first time I ever took that test was right at the end of my swim season in college, and I swam in 7 minutes.
So here's something funny, all right? This is good. Glad you said that, because when I was going back to Bud's, re-jocking and going back through, I actually took it way more seriously, and I was swimming like around the 7-minute mark in a swimming pool.
Oh,
Because I
yeah.
could not swim anyway. I just figured out how to get across that pool, mostly underwater,
Yeah.
and then take like one stroke and then turn
Yeah.
to the 25-yard
You gotta
pool.
use those walls.
So I was using the fuck out of those walls, and I was swimming like 7 minutes and like pretty conservative in my energy. And but when I got the contract initially, I had like bare minimum numbers. I barely got 6 pull-ups after failing an egregious amount of times to where I probably should never have been considered. I don't think I ever passed a run under 11 minutes until I went to like the pre-pods thing, where you're basically forced to run every day and swim every day.
Yeah.
So that's when I was a fast swimmer in the pool. And then it turns out that doesn't help you in real swimming in real life when you're out in the fucking ocean and you're just looking at some red speck on the horizon through all of the snot and fucking instructor cum in your face mask or whatever. I don't know, whatever
Whatever they're doing nowadays.
I don't know, whatever the kids are calling it these days. But trying to keep up with somebody who's turtlebacking and laughing at me when they casually stroll through the swim. I'm just swimming like somebody's holding a gun to my head.
I'll be honest. The Swings and Buds, man, I never tried.
I know. Everybody,
I use that as a mental break period.
yeah, everybody reminds me of that when they realize how much of a struggle that was for me.
Yeah, I felt really bad for guys that struggled in that.
And everybody made fun of me. Nobody felt bad about that. Everybody thought it was so fucking hilarious that if you're running or swimming, you could bet your fucking bottom dollar my ass was coming in just barely not last.
Running used to be super easy until I ripped my hip flexor.
Yeah, so that's
Then it got hard.
funny how that works.
Yeah.
So what did you do in the military before you got sent to Buds?
Nothing.
Nothing?
No.
So what, you signed up and your entire intention was to go
Just go straight to Buds.
Straight to Buds.
And, between injuries and lack of motivation or whatever, immaturity, all of the above, every story you could ever imagine hearing, it's all happened to me. I've been part of everything. I've twisted that whole scenario to experience all of it, the whole experience, from getting in barely to crushing tests. And I was, what happened the second day? I was a cunt hair away from being first time every time. I passed inspections and everything, and then was it the long swim where I was basically set the low record for that? I even passed pool comp on my first try. Like I was hammering it, when I was all healthy and not paralyzed and shit.
Yeah.
That was great.
Yeah.
And I had this whole different mindset,
Yeah.
And
So you had a lot of no quit.
I mean, eventually, but it didn't start out that way when I quit everything that I was doing in life every time before that.
Like, was this your last chance? Like, did you know that you were going to do this, and if you failed, then it was going to be something less than this?
Oh, no, because those kind of thoughts had never crossed my mind. And I'm thinking about this now a lot more in my relatively mature state of mind, comparatively anyway, from like what I used to be. And I talk about some of the introspective practices with folks and stuff, and I realize that I've never framed anything in a format of like, whoa, what would so and so think or do with this,
Right.
When making my decisions. I've always made decisions on my own terms, and then later reflected on it, on my actions, and been like, well, what would my role model or mentor or whatever think of what I did?
Right.
I never did the precursor of like, well, what would they do?
Right.
And I guess that's a weird thought to contemplate. And I also never imagined a scenario where I could fail. Like, I didn't even contemplate it.
Okay.
Which is weird, because I failed a fuckload. You would think that
Blindly optimistic.
you would think that somebody who wasn't like window licking retarded and also failed all the time would have the capacity to have the foresight. They're like, oh, well, maybe this might not work out this time again.
Right. Right.
Well, you know what's interesting about that? I've given this a lot of thought. I think it's true for you. I think sometimes people see me try and do things successfully, and they think that's how I do everything. But that's also what I focus on, is the successful part of doing things.
Yeah, I don't think about the times that I'm going to.
I have failed a lot. A lot.
I don't
a ton. But I don't focus on them.
Yeah, I don't plan for fucking failure. It's so asinine.
I don't weight my failures the same I do successes.
Right.
I will plan. I want to make something very clear. There's a difference between planning an alternative successful plan as a contingency for a partial failure or a partial ineptitude within the plan. I do not have a plan to fail.
Right.
There's no I don't plan things.
Yeah, I'm gonna do it this way. It's gonna work.
Yeah, and then if
it doesn't,
I've got this other equally valid option to do.
Right.
Yeah,
right.
that splits your intellectual investment in it definitively.
Yeah.
So I always plan successful plans. I don't contemplate the option of failing, and I contemplate the potentials for adversity in a successful plan and plan contingency plans for success.
Okay.
So when I say I don't plan for failure,
which is different.
It is. It's very different, and I always get the same reaction because it sounds like at face value, if you don't think about what somebody's saying to you and you're just ready to say something back, I get the same response all the time. They're like, "Oh, you don't plan for what happens if something goes wrong." I'm like, "That's part of planning for success."
Yeah.
Right.
It's the same bucket.
That is part of planning for success.
Right.
That's why successful plans are successful.
Right.
Because somebody planned for the hardship.
Yeah, you make your plan a malleable enough to where you're not planning on plan A failing, but at the same time you're putting together a plan that has other options down the road if something starts to go awry.
Right. Options for further success.
Right. Right, for getting to your goal regardless, even if you run into a roadblock on plan A.
Right.
Now you've got a branch that'll go around any
It's a contingency.
Right, yeah.
As opposed to what they're assuming I just said, which is, I plan on, being successful, whatever, and then, having a wife and 2.5 kids and a picket fence or whatever, and if it doesn't work out, I'm going to kill myself.
Right.
It's a horrible plan.
It's an effective plan for failure.
Yeah, well, it's like people that are like, oh, by this age, I'm going to have this in my life, and it's going to look like this.
Yeah.
Well, stop.
Yeah,
Stop.
Yeah,
Right.
because
Stop that.
And here's why.
Stop.
If you don't believe that that's valid, that you should stop. The reason for stopping that is because within the same 4-week period, I was not only convinced that I was going to be an NFL player, but also convinced that I was going to be a Navy SEAL.
Right.
and not even playing football anymore. And also more like in the same like week and a half, 2 week period, I was convinced I was about to go on deployment again, and then also homeless.
Right.
But I'm going.
So,
all right, let's not jump ahead. All right, so let's jump back into you rolled through buds. Did you get rolled back at all?
yeah, I had a little bit of a hiccup with an injury that paralyzed me a little bit from the neck down.
So this is when you broke your back?
One of the
This is
times
before we met.
Okay, so before you guys met, you broke your back.
and then I rolled into his class.
Okay.
Yeah.
So what happened on the accident? How did you get injured?
It was like some series of a few people who dropped out the boat crew, all within like rapid succession, and we were doing some layer portage, which is basically just them like forcing us to carry these inflatable rafts on our heads, and everybody's like weeble wobbling, and a couple days without sleeping.
They're a good 200 something pounds.
It's like 370 pounds
Yeah.
or something.
Yeah.
It's
not like a little toy raft.
It's not comfortable for sure.
I've had to lift one time, and it was not fun.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was an ass pain, and it hurt, and it was supposed to. So so be it. However, when a crew goes from like 7 to 4 pretty quick, and then they're pretty on the ball about reorganizing the crews, and then they do it based on height and everything. So for the most part, it's almost always really expedient reorganizing when that kind of thing happens.
Right.
But this, it's nighttime, and we're a couple days in, and Hell Week, and everybody was kind of there. Everybody was super spun up and distracted, and everything was going on. The instructors got their hands motherfucking full with Hell Week. Like, that is a super hectic evolution. It's so like 100% all the time, and so dangerous with that like the tremendous sleep deprivation and all of that physical activity. So so it got dropped for a couple minutes, and nothing too insane, but we hit some uneven ground. A little bit of the weight shifted. Everybody's necks were little spaghetti strings, and I guess mine just kind of went all cattywampus on me, and then I couldn't walk for a little while. I had a neuro deficit for like probably a little bit more than 9 months. Like 9 months change. I gained mobility back relatively quick because it wasn't anything that like compromised the myelin sheath or caused any permanent damage to the nerves. It was just kind of the injury had caused some kind of a kink in the cord without crushing it. And once that injury had repaired itself, it kind of got wedged back in. I gained mobility back, and then I rehabbed the neuro deficit over a period of so many months, and then I rolled into his class.
Okay, so where are you sleeping? Like, you're going to medical a lot.
Yeah.
Where are you sleeping when you're on medical hold?
Okay, so real quick, when I was paralyzed, since it was during Hell Week, they make you swallow this little horse pill.
Okay.
It's a thermometer, so it's like all these little metal gadgets in it.
Yeah.
And since I was paralyzed, they sent me to UCSD Medical Center instead of dumping me off on the E5 corpsman who's never seen that before.
Right.
Which I appreciate. But unfortunately for me, that is a student hospital full of Southern California, like, smoke show chicks. So... And it also turns out you can't get an MRI when you're metal passing through your bowels.
Yeah.
So the nurse, I'll never forget that. Of all of the fogginess and really, really vague, cloudy memories and impartial, like totally partial recollection, I remember distinctly that young blonde Robin, who sat next to my bed for almost fucking 18 hours straight, right when I got into the room. She took possession of me from the trauma unit where they were trying to figure out what the hell happened, because I showed up in an ambulance with 14 gauge IVs in both arms. It's a pretty big IV. They're really pushing fluids. And I was in drenched, sandy, like old fucking really outdated BDU uniform with this like hat tied to my shirt, and
A red lanyard.
my resting heart rate was something absurd, like in the 120 range, because it was like days without sleep and in the middle of extreme physical strain. My core temperature, which is not uncommon, by the way, for everybody there. That's why they measure it so often, because it's not uncommon for the entire class to be floating around 93 to 95 degrees,
Jesus.
which is
Hypothermic.
it's severely hypothermic by medical standards, by regular medical standards. But it was Zach Marshall, right? He was the Twiggy one.
Oh yeah.
This dude had.
I remember. Yeah, dude.
Oh, so they go up to you a little gizmo and they put it up to your fucking crapper and they see that your core temperature is whatever.
Right.
And they do that when you're like delirious or when you're doing stupid shit that doesn't make sense, or you know, just every like periodically just to check.
Yeah.
And they tag Zach Marshall at a periodic check. And they all were just like, what the fuck? And they started talking to me like, are you all right? And he was like, yeah. They're like, you sure? You're not like cold? You're not hot? Like you don't feel? He's
What's
like
2 plus 2?
He's like, I mean, yeah, I guess I feel all right. It's like, he's like, this sucks, but you know, he was just super, super mellow about it, like just super plain and lucid as fuck. And like, well, we're asking, you know, it turns out his core temperature was 86 degrees.
Yeah, he should have been unconscious.
The Corbett,
I remember this
you
now.
remember Bo, and he's like, I don't think I've seen like a corpse. He's like, I don't think I've ever seen a corpse this cold.
Yeah, and he was still functioning.
I was
It was
totally
amazing.
lucid.
Wow.
And there's no like perceivable long-term damage. I know I guess we'd have to ask him now, but it seems for face value that he didn't even suffer any real catastrophic damage from having a core temperature at 86 degrees. And then Derek Proper, he had a heat injury in the summer one where I got paralyzed. I was paralyzed in the summer and enrolled into a winter class. So he got a heat injury in the class ahead of me. And he went down with like 109 fever.
Wow.
Yeah, he was
That's
like,
sad.
yeah,
That's horrible.
his
That's
fucking,
brain damage.
yeah, his insides are basically scrambling on a
if-
fire.
I think I remember that, or at least remember being told that too, because I think the issue, correct me if I'm wrong here, but when you have that happen once, your likelihood of it happening again is exponential.
Yeah.
Both ends.
Yeah.
Both ends. If you get a heat injury or a cold injury
It's
from
like
your internal thermostat, every time that happens,
It breaks.
it breaks permanently. And it gets worse and worse every break
It's
after
like your
that.
temperature hymen.
Which
Yeah.
begs...
I barely got that out.
Yeah. Yeah. They can keep getting rebursted because you have like 50 layers of hymen until you just die. So you need to cut through all of them with a fucking samurai sword at once, or you can just keep getting heat strokes and hypothermia until you just can't regulate your temperature anymore. So
I think they kicked him out, didn't they?
there
was somebody with
not
heat
the-
injury that they kicked out.
Yeah. We'll call it that.
Yeah.
I like Derek's fucking awesome.
Yeah.
So anyway, it also begs the question: why the fuck they have a day in Kodiak, Alaska, dedicated to getting hypothermia and then fixing it?
Yeah.
Over and over.
Yeah, that was dumb.
And yeah, it's called rewarming drills. And the trick to that is don't get hypothermia, so your body does it itself.
Yeah.
Boom.
Life hack: don't get hypothermic.
Here's the
Then you
trick.
don't have to fix
All right,
it.
Here's the trick, guys: don't give yourself a heat stroke, and you don't have to worry about fixing heat strokes.
So you're waiting. This is interesting to me because I've been through, like when I was getting out, there was a portion of my life where I was taught FBI prisoner control techniques, and I was
Oh yeah, you're an ex-div.
yeah. So right. So yeah. So and I was assigned as a prison escort for a couple of months before I got out, and so I was handling prisoners, and I was and that was my
A lot of
life.
room handle
Were
stuff.
they foreign
It was
prisoners or
different
domestic
from, no, it
prisoners?
was, right. It was
The
different.
foreign ones throw shit. They're like monkeys.
Right. It was different than the high tech job I'd had previous before I was starting to be processed out. And so where were you? Like you're waiting to be cleared medically. What were you doing? Were you like mopping floors and painting walls and shit like that? Like what did they have you doing?
I was recovering from being paralyzed, so I worked out and then ate milkshakes and did whatever the fuck.
Okay, so you're basically in the gym, just kind of
Yeah,
hanging out,
they have
waiting
a
for medical clearance.
They have like a physical therapy center, which apparently is a pretty robust thing now, since everybody breaks all the time.
Right.
And they have this doc that oversees all the broke dicks, and everybody goes there and it either sits there and waits to be processed as a bosun's mate or an undesignated seaman, or I guess go corpsman because that's like pretty popular. And then the people that are gonna cycle back in spend that time working out because if you don't, you're gonna have a way harder time again. So I just basically broke the neuro deficit threshold at some point, and then started training like I was training pre-buds, and then I rolled right in with them like. Started over.
So you basically had to start over. Week 1.
Actually at Indoc. So you start the whole thing over. If you don't,
it's the worst.
Yeah.
Yes, you got to do the whole fucking thing again.
It was whatever. Hell, it's like the 4th week or something.
Yeah.
So it's
the 4th week of first phase.
Yeah, so
Indoc is
3 weeks,
2 or 3. My class, we had a month Indoc.
Yeah,
we had people
I
quitting.
remember I had to start.
We had people quitting before you class
Yeah,
up.
we had like so many people quit.
Yeah, my
There was one guy who went UA, remember?
Yeah.
He just literally
He
fucking...
just stopped showing up.
Yeah, he just disappeared.
He's like, nah, that ain't me.
And he was like the biggest talker, too. He was, Mr. Tough Guy.
Yeah,
he literally just didn't show up one morning.
Yeah, it was dope. We lost like over 100 people in Indoc. It was outstanding.
Jesus, just because of the calisthenics and stuff?
So one of the calisthenics, actually, I love this story because instructor Haas was such a character.
This is Haas.
Haas liked to lead the calisthenics with this really, really, really eccentric character.
Cadence.
Yeah, and he just like, he'd make his voice all raspy and macho and stuff. But it was like...
If you could pick a character...
Yeah, they all had characters.
Well, he'd be like... I'm trying to think who Haas would be like. He'd be like a combination of Rafi from the league and
the Macho Man Randy Savage.
Yeah. That's him.
It is. That's
Rafi from the league and Macho Man Randy Savage. Because you combine them.
The level of like altering his voice and the level of intensity with which he decided to like berate you.
Right.
Well, it was so over the top that it was super, super entertaining and enjoyable.
Oh, yeah.
He would always tell us stuff, like really homoerotic threats, like he's going to make us do lunges until our asshole bleeds, or he's going to fist fuck us until we say we love him, or gay shit like that. It was like, at first you're kind of like, oh, he's talking shit. Oh, wait, what did he say?
Yeah. It was a little bit of a mindfuck on a different level. You're like, wait, what?
He said he's going to make us sit on pointed rocks until he can slide himself in and we don't feel it. I don't understand that threat. Like, is that an evolution? Do we have to actually...
There was one time...
Do we have to do that to pass?
Dude, do you remember when we did feet, backs, bellies on Turner Field for like 2 hours? So... Beats backs bellies.
And we were facing the side instead of the front or back. We're just like facing sideways there. I
gotta explain this to somebody that doesn't know. Okay, so picture
300 people.
Picture 300 people that all agree to a game that there's 3 moves. There's feet, backs, and bellies. When the instructor says feet, you have to stay on your feet. When he says back, you have to lay on your back.
And guess what the belly is?
You have to lay on your belly. Now picture an instructor picking a random one for 2 hours straight.
And screaming it.
Backs, bellies, backs, bellies, backs, bellies.
At that pace, not an exaggerated pace.
2 hours. Dudes were quitting.
I bet.
And it was funny because it looked ridiculous to an outsider. There would be people that stopped what they were doing, like stopped in their cars, just stare at the zombies that were like standing up and falling over, and standing up and falling over, and like rolling, flopping around, and standing up, almost standing up and falling over. And then we did absurd races where they would make us like a buddy bear crawl. So like bear crawling is already an ass pain enough.
Yeah, but then
there's no way it's ergonomically.
Then you koala somebody underneath them.
Yeah, then you got another like full grown man who's like hugging you around the waist. Just like facing your crotch, hugging you around the waist. He got his legs between yours, and you're dragging him through the
wet, covered in sand.
Yeah, and he's just like. I don't know why we all feel the need to do it, but everybody does it no matter how absurd it sounds. The guy being drugged is like, come on, man, you got this. He's just like, it's the weirdest thing.
You just feel the need to be supportive.
Yeah, you're like, yeah, I've got sand in my ass, but this guy's dragging 240 pounds of dead guy through soft sand that's hard enough to walk in.
Like, your mouth is like by his ear, too. It's like, come on, man. You
can dude.
Come on, man.
In 266, when I was in 266, we had this evolution where they made us fill our mouths with sand, put our little fucking seal duck feet flippers on, and backwards bear crawl up that goddamn sand berm, up and over a whole day.
Oh, you can't make this
You want to
up.
talk about the dumbest fucking thing ever? Like, nobody was moving at any respectable pace. Everyone was kind of like trying to sideways.
How was this helping me be a Navy SEAL?
I think at one point, somebody, like one of the instructors made a comment to another one, making fun of him. He's like, they look like a herd of cows. And, yeah, the instructor's like, yeah, that's great. Yeah, cows. Oh, they all moo like cows. Like, we were like moving for a minute.
That's exactly how it works, too. Yeah, you're right. They do look like cows. Okay, move. Everyone move now. We're going to move for 3 hours.
You guys look so stupid. It's like, yeah, we're not the guys getting paid to make us look stupid. So,
Oh my god.
so, Buds was hilarious if you were in the right state of mind, and it's not easy to maintain that. We had a boat crew with a few positive outlooks, which kind of changes the dynamic of it.
Yeah.
And we had a couple of guys roll in from guys that were like some pervasive negative atmospheres and areas.
There's two kinds of guys that go through Buds. There's one guy that's like, dude, this is fucking ridiculous and hilarious. The other guy is, we're going to get beat.
We gotta do everything right so they don't beat us. It's like, do you know where we are?
You know when I lost all my flux? I just recently was telling someone the story. It was before Hell Week. I think it was week 3, and it was a real night. Like, we didn't finish till 1 or 2, I think because it was rock portage, and we had an inspection first thing in the morning, and everyone's staying up, like not sleeping.
Cleaning the rooms and shit.
Cleaning the rooms, polishing their shoes, polishing their helmet. And I remember sitting there looking at my helmet, shoes, being like, okay, I could do this and maybe not get beat for an extra 15 minutes and lose 2 hours of sleep.
Well, we all know that's not even a realistic thing.
Or I can
You're gonna fail.
Or I can show up and just look like a mess and just jump right in.
Yeah, one of the standards for failure is sand. Period. Just having sand in or around or on any of it. Sand.
Yeah.
So I showed up
on the
to
beach.
inspection in my muddy booty sands, sandy shoes, soaking wet fucking camis, and I'm just standing there like, all right, bring the train. And I was in the back, and I remember as Instructor Roberts, he starts to inspect the first guy, and he's catching in my boots, catches his eye. I mean, everyone has polished boots, but mine are just sloppy.
Right.
I'm giving no fucks.
Right.
And he leans down, and he's like, Molten! And I was like, oh yeah? He's like, you know what to do! So he runs over to me, grabs my helmet, smashes it on the ground into a million fucking pieces and tells me that it wet. I remember laughing, jogging to the beach, being like, So what I did is I got over the berm and I sat in the back of the berm like this until other people came out because I knew the instructors weren't going to come until at least 20 guys were done. So I just sat there for 15 minutes by myself.
On the bear and trying to elicit those ridiculous sessions where they would come up with these activities that were impossible timelines and they would talk shit to us in these weird homoerotic ways and all kinds of stuff. One time they were trying to make a point to us about how lazy and how nobody puts out 100% or some arbitrary other statement like that.
Yeah, we weren't trying.
We were in a classroom and they kept sending us to the ocean to get wet and it's about a fucking quarter mile. When you all said and done, through the walkway, down the extremely long stretch of fucking nonsense. Or either that, or it's about a 1/10 of a mile, and you have to jump off like a 10-foot ledge at the berm where the waves are crashing. But either way, it's super inconvenient, and they give you like a minute and a half, 2 minutes. It's something that's designed for you to fail over and over so they can... they need justification to keep going.
You can squeeze 200 guys in and out of a doorway.
Yeah, in and out of a double wide door that's barely wide enough for a truck, but all of a sudden, hundreds of people are supposed to make it out and back in at the same time.
Yeah.
It was stupid, but whenever they'd say wet instead of hit the surf, you hear all the old stories about pay attention to their things and then play the tricks. Well, they got rid of that whole idea a while ago when everybody figured it out because everybody was telling everybody.
Right.
So, but I still decided I was going to do it anyway. So I grabbed one of the guys that hadn't been in any Buds evolutions before, Montoya. Remember him? Mm-hmm. And Montoya's awesome. And he was a young kid. He's like super young age-wise, and he was a Mormon or something growing up. So he just had this weird, super, super sheltered life. He just had this childlike sense of awe about everything, and he's just a deer in the headlights every time somebody yelled at him. He's so racist, Yeah. So I grabbed him because I needed a swim buddy to go get in the showers right around the corner and then come back every time. And I kept meeting these timelines, and then the proctor for my first phase in.
So they said go get wet, and you went.
I would go get a shower. Yeah, I would go get a shower in the bathroom and then come right back. And I made the timeline and crush it, and they like, what the fuck? Because they know I'm not a fast runner, and they know I'm
Not out of breath.
I'm not out of breath, or there's nothing indicating that I did any of this correctly.
Right.
And we were the only ones making it by a long shot. Like, we were like a minute ahead of the next fastest group. It was just like guys that can run faster than like the speed of light were barely making it back, like totally winded, like they were running for their lives. And I'm just sitting there like, and this chief who knew me from when I was in Proctor my first phase in the other class, Chief Smith, he was so funny. He always accidentally said the funniest shit when he was trying to threaten us. Or he would just like let it slip. And I never let him get away with it. I would ride his ass about the dumb shit he said.
What rhymes with rocking chairs?
Yeah, I was like,
and he'd always say, more rocking chairs.
That was the thing. He was like, hey, anybody know what rhymes with rocking chairs? It was this thing where they made us like roll back in the water. So here's an ass pain of an evolution.
It was like waterboarding yourself.
And then nobody said anything because we knew that there was no answer for that. He was just going to say, yeah, that's right, nothing. Fucking rocking chairs. That's what we're doing. So every time he would say that, I would be like, gummy bears, stepping snakes, pubic hairs. And he was just like, shut the fuck up.
Go get what?
And he told us he was going to make us do something until we shit our pants on the time. And I was like, yo, if I already shit my pants, am I good? He's like, no, fuck you.
But the thing is, the instructors love someone that's...
There's somebody that's not worried about getting beat because what are you worried about? That's what you get. That's what you signed up for.
You're also entertaining them.
Yeah, it's fun for them. It's, you're not getting out of anything, so it's kind of just fun for everybody, and it's showing them that you're not really like defeated by it. I guess I don't know. Yeah. Whatever the formula is, that's how I would see it anyway as an instructor. But
it's a mind thing, right? You're showing them strength of mind, and what they're really testing for in that whole physical.
It's maintaining positive control of this noodle right here while you're getting.
Not the guy that's we're gonna get paid.
You guys need to sweep the sand up.
I remember someone saying that before Hell because those guys don't make it through. I remember someone saying that before Hell Week, being like, "Dude, we're at Buds. We're gonna get beat the whole fucking time. Shut the fuck up."
This isn't like a trick. Like if you do the things to the T, then you actually just skate through, and nobody has to see if you're tough. Like, that's not a thing. Who thought that was real?
We're here to get beat, idiot.
We all signed up for the same shit. You guys all saw that 234 video. You guys knew what you were doing.
We're gonna get beat. I remember someone saying that. I'd be like, shut up, man.
You guys thought that this was like that commercial with the footprints. You guys were just gonna sneak into the fucking teams, right? Yeah. Dude, like honestly,
sneaking into the teams. There was a guy. I'm not gonna say his name. I was actually in physical therapy with him.
Miyamoto?
No. This guy, so I think he had stress fractures, and they're bad enough that he had a good reputation in class, but they officially kicked him out. Yeah. But you stay in Bud's physical therapy until you're fit for full.
Until you're repurposed.
They don't let go of you until you're healed, right? So they send him over to XDiv after he's healed. He just shows up to class on the next Bud's class. And they're like, hey, you're not, like, his classmates are like, hey, you're not on the roster. He's like, oh, he's like, I don't know why I'm not. Like, I'm rolling into your class. They put him on the class, yada, yada, yada. He gets through Buds, goes through SPT, goes through his team. He has officially been kicked out of Buds.
Oh, my God.
Yeah. I mean, like, once he got, no one should ever try this ever again. Right.
But don't do this. It won't work again.
No. and that works once.
Yeah.
I mean, he was a good dude. Yeah. Totally good
dude.
Did
they let him through?
Yeah.
Well, they didn't know.
They didn't know.
But it got to the point where it was too late.
At a certain point.
Because he would pass everything.
Wow.
And they were like, we're not going to kick you out now.
But he was officially UA where you're supposed to be mustering, right?
Well, that's the thing, because they don't keep track of shit.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
That may have changed by now.
Actually,
I know that's changed now because I know there's been some deaths.
After so many people get killed in your training and selection,
or
it's hard to have oversight.
Or quit and kill themselves, which is bad.
It's probably way worse. But
yeah.
But we had a good time. I think we had a good time. They always coming through and fuck with us. I thought it was hilarious because our OIC is really, really close friend. I actually lived on his couch pretty much the entirety of like everything we did, and he would always try and make me the senior enlisted guy. It was like his correspondent. So he's like OIC LPO. It's like officer in charge of that, and their corresponding enlisted partner. And those two do all the awesome fucking infinitum of the admin work and bullshit. Yeah. And they're on the hook for everything that happens anyway, so they just get like relentless and fuck with. But I had
that guy in boot camp.
Yeah, right. So you get it. So I was like a lowly E2 at the time, and That's not an LPO rank. That's actually the opposite. That's probably about one away from as low as you can get away from that. It's usually reserved for when they had E6s prevalent and originally, or now when they started staving off of E6s and just E5 and below in. It's like E5, E6 roll. So ROIC made a point to make me the LPO in every phase, and it always got trucked like within a week.
Right.
They were always like, you have to have somebody other than E2 Johnson. but I get why he did it. He thought it was funny. It was funny. I had a lot of cool little quirky ideas about how to get away with doing shit easier, faster, and we cut corners and gave the guys a break every chance we got to. Gave ourselves breaks a lot, and we were close blood, so it was easy to manage the group as a partnership as opposed to two random dudes that are already hating themselves and probably don't know each other and hate each other too, which is usually the case for OIC LPO. And so he would always make me an LPO, and I would always be interfacing with the instructors. Like one time we were at the obstacle course, we had to pick all the trash out of the sand or some shit on the side of a fucking public state highway in California, and it took us like 4 hours, and it was an insurmountable goal. There was trash out there no matter what. And they were going to make us bear crawl to the meal no matter what.
Right.
But hey, it came out, and it was pretty clean. We were all standing in the ranks, and then they were like, hey, get over here. We ran over to the window of their truck, and they were like, it's all the trash picked up? And we're like, looking around, and OIC is like, yeah. Yeah, you can see him making that. That's Kevin's face. He looked like Ron Perlman. He had his smile from ear to ear and his big old long face. He just looked dopey, and he was the best motherfucker ever. And he would just look around. He didn't give a fuck either. He would take a beating right there with me, and he'd laugh his ass off. And he's looking around, and he's like, yep. And the instructor pulled his little 5-hour energy out, and he reached out the window and dropped it. And he goes, yeah, well, what's that? And I bent over, picked it up, and I go, what is this? An energy drink for ants? And then none of the instructors in the vehicle, they're just like, yeah, they're like, yeah, all right, you got this. They're like, you guys go get food. Or Chief Smith, the same guy that always tried this nonsense. He came out one night at Night Evolution, and we all had to be standing out there earlier and ready to go. And so we'd be standing at attention and ready to call out their names as they come out. And he came out solo 10 minutes early, and they started calling out his name, and he was like, and so we didn't call about it. He came out and started talking. He's like, I just want to come out here and shoot the shit with you guys for a little bit before the rest of the guys get out of here. He's like, yeah, I just been, working out. He's like, it's actually a pretty sweet deal. My day was awesome today. He's just trying to be a wise ass about it.
Right.
He's like, it's actually a pretty sweet gig, in the unlikely event that any of you guys make it, you guys should try and make it a point to come back here and be a gatekeeper, Sweet gig. Pretty much just work out all day and fuck with dudes all day. And I was like, whoa, Chief Smith, you like to fuck dudes all day? What did you say? And he got all flustered. He's like, no, that's not what I said. You're like, no, fuck you, Johnson, you fucking queer. You call me a Slipknot. I don't even know what that is. I
remember that.
Yeah, he was like,
you
fucking queer.
I remember thinking, what the fuck does that mean?
Yeah, right? What the fuck is this? I was like, all right, whatever. I was like, oops, classic mix-up. Like, all right, you go fucking, everybody drop down. Johnson ruined it for everyone. I was just going to shoot the shit. Surprise. When we do a CQC, the other Ben,
who?
Gold Squad Ben.
Oh, yeah.
I don't want to drop names like that, all heavy, public forum. But Ben's a pretty well-known guy. He's super squared away. It's really just monotone, plain,
Yeah,
pretty intimidating.
Is it the Superman movie?
Yeah, he's in Superman and stuff. Yeah, he's one of those guys that get recruited for
we don't say his name, but he falls out of a helicopter in the movie.
So anyway,
do your homework, look at the credits, so they used to be able to figure it out.
This is in CQC and SQT, right? So this is a pretty big gateway. A lot of people fail, get rolled, and this, that, and the other. Turns out me and Doug had come out of an act for this, and another guy in our class, and we kept making these preposterous bets.
Oh yeah, the instructors love betting.
Yeah, so they like betting because they usually win, and and then if we make really high stakes bets, then they get really high stakes punishments.
Right.
Yeah. So we made a high stakes. Well, I guess I did. I made a high stakes bet on behalf of the class because I thought it was hilarious. I made a bet that if we pass the whole evolution, the test evolution, without a single violation or chit
As individuals, not class.
as individuals,
Yeah.
then as an individual, I did not have to touch my weapons for cleanup, which took hours at the end of the day.
Sure.
Nor did I have to run back up to the chalk. I got to ride up in a vehicle and then make liberal use of the instructor's beer stash while the rest of the class did all the extra work. Otherwise, you had to do all the extra work and then run up the hill to go back.
And if if you failed, you got beaten anyways.
Right.
Yeah.
But to give you an idea about the test too, though.
And that's serious business, right? You're talking about,
It is
if you make a mistake in that environment, somebody could die because
This is
CQC,
probably
by
the
the way,
most-
is close quarters combat
right. This is
training,
building clearance.
which is right.
Specific.
Which is like you have a specific job. Everybody has a job that's going through that door. You have the breacher, and then the one guy comes in and turns left. Always has to turn left. And the other guy comes in and turns right. Always has to turn right. And you always have to clear the room in a
Well,
very
it's
systematic
a
way.
little more like pickup basketball. That's
That's the problem.
I don't know
it's
if
not so
other
rigid.
I don't know if other units are as fluid as we are, but you could be the most junior man and you could be running the train.
Right. It
So
just depends
that's
on
what's
where you
hard
get
about
stuck at it. Because the way we manage bodies, since we work in small units,
It goes by threat.
we got to manage our assets, and we can't spread too thin.
And you can't
operating
dictate,
under
hey, you go left or it's you let the room and threats dictate where you move, which dictates that third or fourth person being the next decision maker.
And it's very imperative that everybody understands the flow, like multi-room flow, and the allocation of all your bodies, like spreading your bodies out. And like if you got guys, so some threats warrant like executing, like moving through.
In the
and
book
then-
Stealing Fire, they actually open it up with a story of Navy SEALs being in flow states to be able to do this specific task.
because this task is something that's such a high elevation of like state of arousal physiologically,
Right.
and your cognition is so wrapped around doing it correctly because you don't want to put yourself or anybody else in the unit in a compromising position where you're in like a Polish ambush in blue on blue, or
Right.
or guys that are paralleling the train and you're moving in the same direction in opposite ends of a structure.
Right.
You can make entry on an open room to get, it's just a million. There's
But
literally only like 5 tiers of threat. So simplistically broken down is a very easy process to go through those rules, but it is nearly impossible to do it perfect while you're also paying attention to everybody's body language and while you're also paying attention to all the violations and everything.
Sidebar, we're going to have a flow expert on the show. We've already set up where we're going to set the recording date and whatnot. And it's somebody who works with now today, Stephen Kotler, who's a
nice.
co-author of Stealing Fire with Jamie Wheel.
Oh yeah.
That's dope.
I'm
Yeah.
hoping we'll get all of them. I'd love to have Jamie Wheel and Stephen Kotler.
Yeah.
And I know that they know some folks as well. I'd love to have all those guys on the show to talk about flow. Anyway, go
That'd be
ahead.
fantastic. But there's a million violations.
Well, let me give you like a couple specifics so you can understand the gravity of this bet.
Right.
Okay.
The tip of your barrel has to be 10 inches off the door frame before you enter.
Yes.
When you enter, you have to step, which your leading foot has to go into the room, and then when you take 2 or 3 steps, you have to be 18 inches off the back wall.
Yeah.
You have to scan to the corner, back a foot from your barrel's buddy. And there's instructors and rafters above you looking at these angles and stuff.
Right.
So I mean, it's really, really, really meticulous. So it's a big bet.
You can't look off your sights. If
Oh
your-
yeah,
your
if
gun's
you take
pointed
your
down
head
range.
off your sights, that's a hit.
Yeah, you have to check up or check down. If you have your finger on the trigger when you are in the trigger well, when you say anything, it's a hit. I mean, there's
Yeah.
so many little nitpicky things that it's legitimately at the point where if you're not flawless, they can get rid of you if they don't like you.
Yeah, like well, another one too. Not to hammer all of them, but like you're switching from safe to fire as you're punching the entryway of doors.
If you don't do it at the right time, then you're
You do it earlier
definitely
or you're
aggressive.
late.
Yeah.
It's a hit.
Right.
The bet was
So it gets
0
weird. So
hits.
0 hits.
That was 0 hits.
Yeah.
You got to do
on
everything
a test that takes like 20 minutes.
absolutely perfectly.
And on our first test, no less.
Yeah.
The first time out. So Ben says, we're going to do this flawlessly the first time through. And I'm going to get all of this amazing stuff. And the instructors are like, yeah, we're going to give you a moonshot.
Yeah, they opened it up to everyone in class.
Yeah, nobody would make a bet.
Yeah, nobody else would jump on it.
Nobody would actually make one. I was like, I got it. And they're like, no. And I was like, no, I got it. And the instructor's like, shut up. He's the only one to make a bet. So I made a preposterous bet. And they're like, fine, what do we get if you fucking fail? And I was like,
Name it.
Yeah.
So
It doesn't matter.
Their failure bet ended up being you have to hug your rifle like this, and log roll the 1.25 miles up one of the steepest gradients of street that I've ever seen in my life.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
All the way up.
I took the bet. I jumped on it. I was like, yeah, I want that.
Yeah, me, Doug, and Jimmy Watson were sitting up on that hill watching these dudes fail one after another and log roll up past us on their way up the hill with these tall boys 7-Elevens.
So none of the instructors expected us to actually win.
And when we did, they didn't have a plan for when we did. So
Yeah.
we went up to the jock.
We literally put our guns down after like, damn it, you guys 0 hits. We literally beat feet into the beer.
And we came and sat, and it was in some like defilade on the side of a carved out hill where the street went up over the kill house.
Right.
So you could sit on the hill and look down at everybody waiting to go in, coming out and failing, starting to log roll up the hill and past you. And so we're sitting up there, kicked back with our fucking tall boys, like fucking silver bullets, just slugging them back and talking shit. And they were like, "Whoa, no!" They're like, guys, put the beer away. There's live ammunition and live weapons. It's a live fire exercise.
I guess there was that. Like they didn't realize that we weren't going to hesitate to accept our.
We claimed our prize for certain.
They're cool, but they're like, yeah, just like you can't have beer until the range is closed officially.
Right.
And we're like, oh, okay.
Yeah.
They're like, you guys, we'll hold up our end, but like you guys can't have beer right now.
You guys can have beer later. We'll let you guys come in here and have one beer, and you can ask one question because you won.
Yeah.
But put those beers away while everybody has live ammo.
Yeah, we were the only 3 out of like what 50 dudes.
Yeah, it's like 78 or something.
Yeah.
There's only 50 at the end because there's so many people that
So you guys went through with 0 hits the first time, got the
Yeah.
beers, and said, "Fuck it, I'm going to watch everybody fail."
Yeah, we did.
That's awesome.
So yeah, wasn't I just talking about how I need pressure to perform earlier before we started recording?
You gotta have stakes.
Yeah.
You gotta have
stakes.
Yeah, I see. I really identify with that.
Yeah.
My blood does not start pumping until the stakes are really high.
Yeah. If they had told me like,
It's hard to get.
if they had told me I got ice cream and cheeseburgers, if I failed, I would have failed.
Yeah,
I know for a fact I would have failed.
Yeah.
Awesome. All right, so you went through multiple phases. When did you go to 18 Delta?
I actually went
This is, Corpsman training, by the way.
So I showed up on hold for, was it me, Tim, and Aaron Parker? Yeah, me and a couple of buddies, we went into a holding capacity when we showed up to our team, and the other guys went on deployment and met up with them mid-deployment. And that's when I racked up my entirety of all the like every school in the book, which has got kind of a running joke.
Okay.
Because I didn't have anything to do. I'd rather suck my dick.
We showed up to Team 8.
You remember when we
I
sat
got
there for
put
like
to it.
9 months or 11 months straight doing nothing?
Yeah.
No, it was like 16 months because
Yeah.
you guys went on deployment.
Yeah.
came
So
back,
I got put into a platoon that was deploying. These guys didn't.
So we sat in N35 for like half of an entire cycle, and in N35 you're not really allocated to anything. You're just like an undesignated SEAL,
Right.
and
Because you're waiting for a cycle to start.
If I would have stayed there and just sat there and waited, I would have been kicked out so much earlier than I got kicked out.
So then you went to Corpsman school during this lull period.
Well, I always had a interest in medicine, and that's a thing that kind of guarantees you on off. So I plugged that. That's a 9-month process, and then I went to Sniper, and then I went to Tubbs twice. I went to Tubbs twice. I went to Todd Hodnett School. I went to
What's Tubbs?
it's like a ballistics. It's like sniper statement stuff. And then I went to comms. I literally had like every single school that they have on their like dossier for selection. You can pick schools because I did a long like over a year in holding. Then I did a long pro dev
You got to go to Sniper because you finished top like I did with that shootout. Right?
So here's the funny thing. I still talk shit all the time, so Hatcher didn't like my attitude. Remember, I only didn't go because I did finish top, and they didn't send me because of my attitude.
Oh, I don't remember that.
Yeah, remember he was like, why didn't everybody have a Sharpie? And then I had to get in the gutter at Blackwater.
I still bring a Sharpie when I go shooting. We got beat forever.
We had to stand in like sewage runoff because this like obese fucking I don't know, whatever, mouthy, like, African dude didn't like our attitude or some shit. I don't know, whatever the case. And, you know, he sent guys that
Hey, meat. It's literally how it sounded. You're new, so you're meat. So
he was also
meat.
Him and Mackie and the guys, boys, and all. And he was also in my first Buds class too. And he used to run with it. He used to run with his tongue flopping around, and the instructors would always like, "All right, so put your tongue in your mouth." But anyway, so I didn't get to go to sniper school with these guys. I had to go one after. So they went to you went to Nyland, right?
Yeah, I was the last class in Nyland.
They went all the way to the West Coast and did sniper school in this like immensely spacious, flat, and sparse vegetation desert where you can see for like 18 miles straight.
Right.
And they're supposed to do what?
Your ghillie suit is like,
there's
a bush. Oh, wait, that's a sniper.
Yeah, your ghillie suit was just a shovel, and you had to dig a hole and get in it.
So I actually went to I went to sniper school out there, but I did go to Atterbury. So I got to see the.
You came up when I was there.
Yeah. Oh yeah, shit.
Yeah.
Yeah, there is some spots in Nyland though that were they were dense enough that you could stalk, but dude, nothing like out in Atterbury.
Oh, dude,
I did not realize that.
I used to walk around straight up like I was just strolling through the fucking mall.
I once low crawled 600 yards with a gun.
I've never done that
on rocks.
I've never low
with diarrhea.
Yeah, because I'm at Nyland.
Yeah, dude. I remember, actually, I forgot the story. Yeah, I had like really bad diarrhea, and I was doing a stalk, and I was trying to like get over this slight high spot to a bush. Like literally, you're trying to get to a bush, and I remember like positioning like up and over this little jagged rock.
You feel like a goat in Uganda, just trying to find the next like half a foot size mound.
Dude, I remember I accidentally laid on this like kind of bigger rock, and it hit my lower gut. Dude, it almost squeezed out poop. I was just clenching. I was making fucking coal in my butt.
Time and pressure.
Time and pressure.
So I just racked up a bunch of schools, and then I kind of ran myself for a minute. But the long and short of it is, after that period of time, the only super exciting, adventurous stuff was all administrative stuff from my behavior or the people's opinions of my behavior back, like in my proximal units. It was always like somebody didn't like me, so I was getting pencil whipped around this way, and I got passed out. I did like 5 platoons or something. And I did like 5 workups.
People were pretty polarized.
Oh yeah, I'm a very polarizing figure. People either get it and like we're homies, we're best buds, or people don't get it and they spend their nights instead of sleeping or like banging their wife or like catering to their kids' needs as children. They spend their lives like mulling over and stewing about how much they hate me.
What was the challenge for you? Is it fitting into the military mold of doing all the bullshit along with being a special operations guy?
So this is what I thought. I thought about this for a long time because this isn't like an egoic thing. I was legitimately like measurably on paper highly qualified and very, very, very effective to the point where I was understanding complex tactics and stuff like that. Like in my first platoon, I was taking roles and stuff like that for however brief until I had been fucking pencil whipped around by a dumb guy who was further up in rank. And to their credit, I was not following any of the rules that they had assumed that I was supposed to follow, but it didn't detract from my ability to operate. So I was an effective.
He wasn't playing the game.
I wasn't playing their game.
Right.
So on paper, if you looked at it on paper, it would appear that I was the exact shape of the mold that they had casted. However, it was a mold that they could not fill with the substance that they preferred the product to be made of.
Oh, yeah.
So the mold was the shape of me as a measurable, effective operator. I shot like top 5 in the platoons. I had every qualification, every school. I had a tremendous amount of experience, and I did like 5 workups where, how many did you do?
2.
Okay, so you see the comparison in the time frame? It's preposterous. Yeah. Like I bent over backward. I was gone on the road 289 days on average of every calendar year that I was in for like almost a decade. So I was breaking my back to gather knowledge and information, but I would not, no matter how much they tried to punish me or fucking change my reputation or muddy my name or whatever the case, I did not give you a chainsaw. I would let them waste their time and bash their head against the wall, do whatever the fuck I wanted anyway, and still show up and work. And then even it got bad to the point where I had to kind of check it a little bit because new guys would see that, and new guys under us would start to emulate that behavior, and they would get in a lot of trouble.
Right.
And then that got so bad that every time anyone got in trouble, I got blamed for it. Period.
Yeah, it was
whether
weird.
or not I had anything to do with it. It was 100% my fault.
Yeah, you get blamed sometimes for random shit. I remember that.
I got pulled. This is not even a fucking embellishment or an exaggeration. I got pulled off of topside dive support for an evolution where I wasn't in the dive. I had already finished all the required everything, and they were doing the dive. I got pulled out by the guy that was running it as part of the dive cell, and his stake of claim was that I was intoxicated on something, and I was unfit and unsafe to be supervising this dive.
Didn't they make you do a blood test?
I demanded it, and I was sent to the. I demanded that I be taken to the QS hospital and get a blood test done, and I'll take any drug test. I was like, that's the most ridiculous shit I ever heard. I was like, you think because you guys think you caught me taking drugs one time and I guess I failed a drug test that's like an easy scapegoat? I was like, I'm still in the teens, right? Either you guys are going to work with me or we're not going to play ball, but I'm going to go do a blood test. So you guys are going to feel really fucking stupid when y'all can't make an accurate assessment of the capability of your supervisors.
Right.
So I demanded I get a blood test. It turns out I didn't have anything in my fucking system because the guy was just making he was making an arbitrary claim.
Well, me and that guy got into a physical altercation one day.
Right.
The only person who probably didn't like me.
Wow.
He hates me now because he
hates me.
Fuck. and the reason he did this is because that LPO, that chief that I was telling you about, were my chief and LPO at the time.
Yeah.
And they hated me. This is right after this LPO and chief had sat me down. And the chief had just gotten booted from from Dam Neck because I'm assuming over incompetence because he couldn't think. Like, I mean, I don't know how to specify that to a manner that's conceivable or able to conceptualize.
Yeah.
I looked in his face and I looked into his eyes, and he looked empty, and he was always aloof.
You think he had some traumatic brain injury or something?
No, I think he was stupid.
Okay.
Yeah, maybe mixed with some TBI.
The TBI probably didn't help if he had it.
Right.
But he was definitely stupid. Because I got sat down, and here's how I
can just picture, there's only a handful of situations or personal dynamics that elicit the response. He was just stupid.
And this is how I know for a fact. This is how I know for a fact that he was just stupid. Because one time when I was getting ridiculed by the whole head shed, all the E8s and E9s or whatever,
right,
they couldn't understand what they were upset about. And in the middle of this board thing where I was getting punished, the LPO looked over at the chief, who looked confused as the day is fucking long, and he stopped me mid-sentence and asked me to stop using long words because it makes me sound like I think I'm smarter than them. That happened in a formal disciplinary board in front of all of the most senior guys of the team.
That's so embarrassing.
Those two guys looked at each other confused, and that was what they came up with out of that. So fast forward now, we're in Key West, and right before I got pulled off this dive, unbeknownst to me that this was happening, they sat me down again because they didn't like my behavior for whatever reason. I don't even remember what it was. I don't think it was anything. And he tried to yell at me about something, and I was like, man, why do you gotta pay attention to me all the time? I was like, don't you have your hands full running this platoon? Or I mean, I guess you don't because it's really the other way things are going. You're obviously pretty upset about the way we're operating. So maybe you should pay attention to the platoon instead of me.
That might have been right there. The extra little barb that you put in.
But
that's why though.
But here's the thing. I did that because of the series of events that led to this point.
I mean, deserving.
This was the point where I was rolled out of that platoon, and I'm glad. But his response to that, as my government appointed leader,
yeah,
in a leadership role, in an authoritative position,
right,
which I mean, I guess ethically it doesn't matter, but. He said, I'm not going to be paying attention to anything or anyone or this platoon or deployment or anything. All I'm going to do is wake up every day and figure out a way to fuck you over. And I was like, well, oh shit. Sorry. I don't think it's news to anybody, though. I mean, I hate to break it to you. You should
We can just
worry about opening up a book instead of your fucking operator fucking bio profile. Nobody cares how many schools you failed. You need to read or learn how.
Big words make brain hurt.
Yeah, I'll use smaller words so you can understand how bad
I'll use smaller words so you can feel bigger.
Yeah. So I looked this girl in the face and just kind of smirked, and I was like, hey man, it's going to take somebody a whole hell of a lot smarter than you to get rid of me. And he didn't have a response, and my senior chief stepped in. My senior chief was a fucking G. He was the coolest motherfucker. And I think he was only like a few buzz classes ahead of my original one. He was such a young senior chief. He just boogied through.
Yeah.
Everyone loved him. He was a pioneer. He was always positive. He was always like really animated. He just brought brought the opposite.
He was competent. People loved to be around him.
He was competent and he was effective. And that's what that's two of the qualities a leader's supposed to be.
Yeah.
So it was so wild to see as a troop senior chief, him have so remarkably incompetent and unintelligent people in a leadership position in the same platoon. So there was a void, there's a vacuum of effective leadership there because those guys couldn't write or read or think.
Yeah.
And so it was weird to see the doo-doo air that followed them, where they were just angry about the world because when you're dumb, you're usually angry.
Yeah.
And then him come strolling in behind them, saying the exact opposite of whatever they were saying, even if it was work related.
If you look up Dunning-Kruger effect in dictionary, there's a picture of this guy.
Oh wow. Yeah.
So he stopped it because he realized that there was like an egregious breach in professionalism at that point.
Right.
And I had just elicited it on purpose to make a point.
Yeah.
That they were too dumb to see it coming, and they totally ate it.
Yeah.
And I did that in front of a senior leader who didn't have his head so far up his ass that he was chewing on his fucking tonsils.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you can see it.
So he saw it, and then I was no longer in trouble, and they were both stuck being dumb and in the vanilla teams, which neither one of them apparently wanted. Now I'm free, and I still get my retirement.
And honorable discharge.
Yeah, honorable discharge, nonetheless.
Yeah.
Because it turns out I wasn't stupid.
Well, I think the smart people knew the deal.
Let me ask you this. You spent 9 years in the teams, and you did a bunch of training, but you had a bunch of deployments as well. What was...
I gotta do some what you consider like, augments and then a really good, robust deployment. And so I was gone a lot, and I got to travel a good bit, but I never really got to do anything. Like, I didn't take Mosul,
Right.
you know?
Right.
I was mostly training foreign units and breaking our military rules in country and Jack and Steel and stuff. And then, there was some pretty nasty shit here and there. It's like bloody, gory mess back and forth every now and again. But it was nothing to write home about, and it was nothing that was like I don't have any like Marcus Luttrell fucking amazing survival stories. So like as far as deployment stories goes, like we did some really nice humanitarian work for stuff, which really gave us freedom of maneuver in some African places. We set up clinics. We worked with children's schools and stuff like that. And we got. It's boring. It's boring when you're not. It's boring everywhere you go, combat zone or not. It's really boring when you're sitting in an African place and you're training people that are doing the most simplistic form of what the American conventional forces will be going and doing if they were in the combat zone.
Right.
So we did a lot of stuff to keep ourselves occupied. We ran a lot of really extensive, like in-depth, extracurricular, extra-military instruction for our guys, so that our guys could be more apt when they came back.
Right.
We set up all kinds of like workout and training programs. We set up the like field clinics to distribute antibiotics, and we worked with a special needs school, clean up their whole school, and like reinforce the playground so it was safe, and it's just shit like that. So we had an awesomely positive effect in the environment. And then a lot of people, like whenever we see a casualty, like in theater, I think me and Dan Letty drove around for fucking forever with this dude who fell off a ladder. I forget what happened to him. He was doing something in some jackassery.
TIA.
Yeah, it was an African guy. So they were carrying out some kind of a thing, like an operation or whatever. He got total Tijuana back alley abortion attempt at scaling a structure they were supposed to be scaling. and he took a digger from like 3 stories up or some shit. And, and it was cool because the XO was there at the time, so we rolled him into the little impromptu med bay we had there, and Letty is all right. So Dan was an extremely competent medic. He's super competent medic, and I know a thing or two about medicine. I reckon at a certain point. So we were both comfortable, both pretty calm and chill, like cooking and jugging, and we spine boarded this dude up, cervical collar, dropped an NPA, and I got him stable. We got him in a truck, and Dan Letty was scooping blood out of his mouth so he didn't choke on his blood vomit. They went to like 5 hospitals. All over the place for hours before we found a doctor that didn't scratch their head and then start touching his back to see what was the issue. We're like, we're going to take him to a back doctor that understands he has a spinal injury.
Right.
And he ended up living. Yeah, he ended up living. He's got kids and shit. He's still alive now. And he's not paralyzed. So, shit like that. It was bittersweet.
Wow. That's cool.
It was fundamentally disappointing across the board from my expectations of what I wanted to get out of the SEAL teams.
Yeah.
However, my expectations for what I wanted to get out of the SEAL teams when I joined were preposterous, and they were expectations that were founded off of zero knowledge of the goings-on of any kind of combat unit, or especially one so selective and very small. And then when I was disappointed, I wasn't paying attention to the organic value of what I was gathering and accumulating over that time. And, like true to form, like all humans, I got out and I realized what a gift it was, and it was pretty dope in retrospect. It's pretty outstanding that I was able to skirt so many policies, which I don't recommend anybody do if you're not comfortable in that zone. Just don't. It's not safe. We'll wind up in jail if you do like a fraction of the stuff that I did.
Know the rules, but know when to break them.
And that's the thing that was a super effective lesson. I hope somebody learned it. Because when I got kicked out, I didn't play any bullshit games. I didn't play the fuck game and run around. I didn't make it difficult for them. I was like, hey guys, I'm done with it. So I'm out. I won't make it hard. It's polite, see ya. And the last thing I said, I addressed the whole command. And I was like, hey, if anybody's still listening, here's what you don't do. Don't do what I did.
Yeah.
No, I wasn't there for that.
Yeah, I basically.
I was injured at the time.
Mm-hmm.
That's why.
Yeah, I
was fucked up.
So I basically just.
I forgot about that.
They stood me up there. They tried to make it a public hanging, so they called the command quarters, and they got everybody in this high bay next door, and they just they marched me out there to try and make an example, and then they were like, "You're accused of this, that, and the other. Do you understand?" I was like, "Yes." Do you have anything to say in your defense? I was like, "I got something to say." All right. So I just turned around, basically was like, "Hey, I've done a lot of stuff. I've spent a lot of time, almost a decade of my life in the Navy, and gone to like a ton of schools, done a lot of work, and with 5 platoons or whatever. So I did a lot of bad stuff too. I squandered a lot of opportunities. I missed out on a lot of shit. I let making a point to people that didn't really deserve a lesson from me. They probably didn't deserve the lesson unless they earned it themselves. Far be it for me to be their teacher." Right. And that cost me a lot of opportunity. So, I would say equal good, equal bad, relative to them. And then if I had any advice, I would say don't let the bad times get you with your pants down, because you quickly find yourself up here, and then you won't be deserving of being in the company of the people you respect most. So that's something you don't want to experience. It's not a good feeling, even though I don't really have any negative feelings about it. It wasn't awesome at the time. But yeah, so that was my last thing I shared with them. And then I rolled out, and then I showed up back to sign my paperwork, and it was an honorable discharge. So I was like, hey, fucking A, man. That ain't the universe giving you a pat on the back for not being a fucking coward, then hell yeah.
Nice. So you finished Buds, and you guys rolled into Team 8 together, but then you got separated?
Kind of.
Actually, we got separated Buds. So I got we got injured like before Hell Week, but I got really injured in Hell Week. Basically, I fucked my hip up, and I couldn't be like, hey, I need to go to medical. It was like, oh, I need to finish Hell Week before I actually get treatment.
Okay.
Because at that point, they won't make you redo. If you get through Hell Week, you won't redo Hell Week. You'll roll in after Hell Week with the next class or the class after that.
Right.
So I pushed through, which sucked, but I ended up ripping my hip flexor. So then Ben went on, I classed back up, Ben got rolled later on, so we ended up in the same class again. Yeah.
And then so you get through training and you roll over to the East Coast and you're assigned to Team 8 out of Virginia.
Yeah.
And they were ready to go.
Yeah.
And so where did you go?
So, yeah, when we checked in, actually, so the sniper school stuff. So, at that time, traditionally, they reserved sniper school for more senior guys because it was a highly desired school. But it doesn't. They realized it didn't make sense to have a senior guy be sniper, have him be a sniper role for a year or two. But he's a senior guy, so he's gonna have a senior role. He's not gonna be a sniper. It doesn't make sense.
Right.
So they're like, shit. It makes way more sense to have the most junior guys be snipers. So I think there was actually 15 of us that checked into 8, and there was only 3 slots. And so they made us do a shoot off for 5 days.
Wow.
Yeah, Doug and Lally Pants. The only
I came in first.
Yeah, and Lally came in second, and
Yeah.
I came in third every time, and then and I didn't get to go
Yeah.
because I have an attitude problem.
Yeah. And so they, I got picked. I don't know why, but the troop I got picked in was had literally just gotten back from, I think, the last cycle of Iraq before we were in Iraq again now. But we were getting ready to deploy. And at that time, too, usually you deploy as a whole team.
Right.
All the platoons, the different troops, they go at the same time, even if it's not the same location. Our team was deploying by troop.
Okay.
I still think we're the only team other than Jamneck that has non-whole team deployment. I think that they deploy as a team now. But anyways, I just happened to get into a troop that was getting ready to roll. So I think I had a 4 or 5 month workup, and then I was in Africa.
Okay.
But these guys, you guys were stateside for over a year, right?
No, we were in 35 for over a year.
Yeah.
Then we went to our team and then, to our platoon, and then we got to do pro dev for however long, and then we went through ULT, and then we went.
So I got super lucky. I literally got to my team 2 weeks later. I was in sniper school. Came back from sniper school. The workup had already started. Some guys were a little pissy that I missed some of the workup.
Right.
So I met my my platoon out in whatever fucking training site, I think in Virginia. Then literally rolled in deployment.
AP Hill.
Yeah, it was AP. Yeah.
And so your first deployment what was that like?
So my first deployment was where Ben ended up deploying after.
Right.
Yeah,
Yeah.
tailed him in up.
So we did like this similar shit.
So I mean, but here's the thing though. You go through training, and it's always training, and it's never like out in the world. It's never where other people are really going to shoot. Like you have live round training and things like that, but it's also controlled to where you're not actually ever going to get shot.
Unless you're Aussie, you
Or
get
blue
shot.
eyes.
Yeah,
Right.
2 dudes who've been shot by our own guys.
Right.
Or whoever that gunner's mate that Chad shot was.
Oh yeah.
But when,
We know 2 dudes
Ernie.
who've been
Ernie. It was
shot.
Ernie Parlor.
God, he shot him. These guys are alive. So we
You
joke
get
about
shot. You get shot all the time.
in training.
Or just in the armory or
There's
whatever.
been some guys who've died, but
for sure.
We literally just off the top of our head listed 3 guys who've been shot.
Like rapid.
Yeah. But I mean, here's the thing, though. You're not expecting to have people shoot.
The goal is to not shoot your own guys.
Right.
Yeah.
The goal is not to shoot
Yeah.
your own guys, and the goal is to go through training safely and to prepare for. But then, what's it like? Like when you're getting off, like you get on a C-130, I'm assuming, to go to wherever you're going to go.
Yeah. So
And then when the Ambien wears off,
you
you realize you're in purgatory.
you hammock up, and then do you have to jump out, or are you just?
No, we land. So we landed, actually, backtracking a little. So we were in Stuttgart, because that's where we stage out of.
Böblingen.
And me and 6 guys going to Uganda, we got a C-130, and we were over the Mediterranean, and one of the engines just shut off.
Nice.
So, yeah, that was cool because we were over water.
Yeah.
So we turned around and had to land in Sudibe, Greece, and we told the Air Force crew, we're like, guys, like, we're going to Africa. We're like, you need to make this multiple days. And they're like, And we're like, no. Make this a fucking week. And they're like, oh, you guys are serious. We're like, yeah, we're going to Africa for 6 months. Please make this a week in Sudibe, Greece. So they did, which was cool. So we got to hang out in a hotel by the beach for a week. And then the honeymoon was over. Then we went to Africa. We landed in Entebbe. That's where Ben landed too. If you've ever seen the movie The Last King of Scotland,
Yeah.
With not Joaquin Phoenix. Who's the wonky eye guy?
Oh yeah. I can't remember. I can't remember his name.
Anyways, you'll remember in a second.
I
Yeah.
picture you.
So a lot of that movie is about truth.
Yeah.
The main character that wasn't that person didn't exist, but the big pieces happened.
Yeah.
And so at the end of the movie, there's a raid at the airport. It was the Israeli commandos because there was a commercial plane taken hostage.
Did a new movie like that, like something in Tibet or whatever.
Yeah, it was right in Entebbe.
Yeah.
And it's a huge famous raid in the late 70s, I think. And then they ended up just laying a shit ton of fire on this building. The building hasn't been touched since. So you land, you see this building just riddled with bullet holes.
Right.
So I was like, oh, cool, we're in Africa.
That's how the embassy in Guatemala is. The front gate, where the gate guard is, the guard check, it's vacant, and it is just fucking peppered with rounds.
Yeah.
They also murder people in traffic like feet from police. The police are just like
Yeah.
super impune.
I saw nothing.
Wow.
Okay.
And it's hard to fit in there because you're like at least a foot and a half taller than the next like Yao Ming of
Yeah.
Ixo Mayans.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Like Peru.
Yeah.
We're the tallest people.
Man,
We were the tallest people in all of Peru.
I didn't realize.
Peru's like an NBA team standing next to fucking elementary school kids compared to the Central American folks. They are
They're even
all
shorter
like
than
3
Peruvians?
foot. They're all like 3 feet tall. They're like Hostina would have been the like biggest person in that country.
Why did they evolve to be shorter than us? Why did we evolve to be taller?
We had better food
Is it food or climate?
Fucking
Or
elevation,
both?
in
probably.
Europe.
It's both.
Yeah, they are predominantly a plant-based diet. Man.
All right, so you land in Africa, and is
Yeah.
it like a little bit of a shell shock for you? Is it a little bit of a social shock? Is it like, holy shit, here we
Yeah,
go?
it's weird, like getting used to
People shitting on the side of the dirt road.
people shitting next to you, people trying to take shit out of your pocket, like just like weird shit that like you're just not used to.
Yeah.
Having to be aggressively rude to police officers, otherwise they'll try to bribe you. Like I mean, it took like a whole day to figure out, but you know, a cop will pull you over and they'll see you're white, and so they'll assume just you're white and you're rich.
Yeah.
Because you're white. They have these some of them have really weird misconceptions about Americans. I got in an argument once with a local. There was 2 arguments I got into with this one guy. I don't know why it was
The jumper cables thing?
That was another one. Same guy.
I believe that.
He told me there was no poor people in America.
Yeah.
Or homeless.
Mm.
I was like, well, I go, really? I go, have you been there? He's like, no. I was like, all right, well, I've been here and there, so shut the fuck up.
Yeah. I've seen
he also,
those.
yeah, he also told me there's no cows in America. He goes, cows only in Africa. These are African cows, no cows anywhere else. I was like, no. It's like, you ever heard of milk, asshole?
You ever heard of McDonald's?
Yeah.
They are slightly misinformed.
Yeah. Yeah. My favorite scene, like, kids running around with some football jersey of Super Bowl champion team, whatever, that didn't actually win.
Yeah, the knockoff jerseys that didn't get mass produced or did get and they didn't get distributed.
Yeah, so it's weird getting used to that. God, everything smells like burning trash.
Yeah.
Man.
Yeah, burning trash or like.
If you got
dying
out to the
animals
country
or-
where humans weren't, it was always beautiful.
Oh, it's epic.
Always beautiful.
But
you go where
you-
people are, it was shit.
You get into the cities and there's dudes walking around wearing Donald Duck shirts from Goodwill,
Yeah.
fucking carrying cakes.
You spent 99% of their time in the non-National Geographic section of Africa.
So now, how long did you spend in Africa before you shipped back out?
First time I was there, I think it was 5 months.
Yeah, our bouts are like 5.
My second time, it was 179 days. 1 day short of
Yeah.
a day too many where it requires congressional
The eye tempo.
authorization. Yeah.
Right. So was that Africa as well?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So
Yeah, the second deployment was much more austere and dangerous.
Yeah, you were doing some pretty
that's
dope shit in the
that was the one
Yeah.
where you were
Cameroonian area.
You were
Yeah.
kind of solo for a little
Yeah,
while.
I was doing like solo intel work.
Dude, that's cool as fuck.
Yeah, when I came back, I was like, that was fucking dumb.
Yeah.
I mean, I was literally going out. We lived in a village. I was going out in the market, meeting people by myself.
Sketchy.
Oh, dude, yeah, literally no armors. Like I just had a pistol under my shirt, huge ass beard.
Yeah.
I had a huge ass beard,
Like your beard isn't huge now.
dude. No, I'm serious. Let me find a picture of this thing. I looked like the bomber from what's that Navy SEAL movie?
Navy SEALs.
No, not the Charlie Sheen one. The Act of Valor. The head bad guy in that. I looked like him.
Oh wow!
It was awesome. Look, I'm gonna find your picture.
And
here.
was that a deployment that your intel got onto the president's desk?
Yeah.
Twice.
Yeah, twice we were.
Dude, that's I gotta say
The work we were doing was part of his morning brief.
that's pretty darn cool.
All the people that we were aiding and assisting that kept dying probably got to the president's desk.
That you took like, do you get a choice, or do they say we want you to do this solo work, or we're looking for somebody who does solo work?
Can you see that?
That's a big beard, man. That's a lumberjack
Oh, yeah.
beard.
Yeah.
So how do they choose for this type of assignment where you're going to be out there solo?
So I had
Your reputation, which we'll touch on when we talk about everybody.
yeah. So there was
By the way,
there was only one, or let me think. Every single guy in that team, there's initially 4 of us. We actually doubled our dues halfway through because of how bad it got. But every single one of the guys had a certain had gone through a certain intelligence course. You couldn't. The whole thing with the work we were doing there is you weren't going there unless you had that qual.
Yeah.
Because that was a lot of what we were doing. So, anyways, yeah, I was pretty good at that. And the guys knew that, and our team lead Hotch kind of designated me to spearhead that kind of work. It's I got to do a couple of really cool things.
So he kind of came up to you and said, "I want you to do this," and you're like, "Let's go."
I was like, "Yeah, fuck yeah."
Okay.
And then I did it. I was like, "This is dumb." I mean, some of it was cool, but dude, I was hanging out there.
Cavalier.
Like I was meeting with known terrorists. Like, you know what I mean? It's like I know who you are. It's weird. Yeah. Yeah. It's like I want to kill you. Just try something. Yeah, it was interesting. Developing sources, doing some shady intel stuff.
Tracks them up.
Yeah, it's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Dude, we did this. I thought of this story earlier. It was so gross. We were doing humanitarian work.
Yay.
Anyways.
That works.
Yeah, blah, blah, blah. Trying to leave some stuff out. Anyways, we were at this little clinic. Oh man, I'll never forget. It's one of those things we start telling stories, all the other stories.
It just pours back.
Yeah. Dude, oh my god. This is African stuff. Dude, they're morgue. Okay, so we're at this clinic. God damn it. So we get to this place, and we're giving medical supplies, we're trying to learn the area.
Yeah.
Really, we're trying to learn the area.
Yeah.
But we gave a shit ton of medical supplies. We got a tour. And so I can't believe I forgot all those stuff. So we get there, we're like, oh man, it smells around here. And they're like, oh yeah, sorry, we have one AC unit and we leave it in the morgue and we haven't had power in 2 weeks.
Wow.
And we're like,
So the bodies are just kind of decomposing.
we're like, excuse me? They're like, yeah, we have a backup generator in case it happens, and that's broken too. So it smells. We're like, yeah, we can tell.
Okay, Africa, dude.
Yeah, I can't describe the smell of this place. But anyways, so we're getting a tour, and we walk by this building. What's that bad disease?
Ebola.
No, I was not that one, but I was near Ebola.
Malaria.
No, more contagious.
Yellow fever.
What's the thing we get the shot for?
We have smallpox vax.
Yeah, so there was a smallpox clinic.
Okay.
That had all those people with actual smallpox in it.
They're
Yeah, and they're like, oh, you guys want to tour this building? We're like, no,
Yeah.
dude.
Yeah.
We're like, don't.
Do they have a cafeteria?
Yeah, we're like, no. Like, no, not at all, man. Like, cool. So, anyways, we go to their lab, right? I'll never forget this. Oh my god. So this little African dude, so excited to share what they do, and it was cool. I was excited too. I was like, yeah, tell me what you guys do. Maybe we can help, give some directions, supplies. He's like, they're all excited, showing us around, and he's showing us how he does these blood tests. They put them in these vials. I remember thinking this looked like a dirty high school lab. And he's showing me this vial, and he's showing me the steps. And there was some blood residue in this vial he was holding. He's like, oh yeah, what we do is this step. He's like, then I go over here, and what we do is we hit this, and it rinses it. And he hits it on to show me how they flush the things.
Right.
Someone had said it wrong, whatever, and the water shot out like a fire hose into this bloody vial, which then shot up in this person's face. Oh my god!
Oh my god!
Thank God I was walking over to look. Thank God I hadn't got there, and this bloody vial just shot back in this guy's face. I was just like, oh my god, and like it was nothing. He's like, oh, like laughs, like pats it off, and I was just like, oh. I was like, we need to go.
There's AIDS blood everywhere. Let's get the fuck out of here.
It was Joey was right behind me who saw it. I was like, Jesus. He's like, oh man, yeah.
Ugh. Really?
So nasty.
Are we done talking about Africa?
Smells like trash everywhere.
Maybe.
Yeah. We'll wrap this one here and circle back around later with some more sea stories, so to speak. Don't forget to hit that like and subscribe button. Share us with all your friends because the Google algorithms are not going to share a show that has Navy SEALs that are pro-pot, pro-psychedelics, and that talk about controversial stuff. So please take that action. We're not asking you for money. We're just asking you for a little bit of finger click action on your mouse or your tablet or your phone. So please do those things for us. Tell your friends where we are and what we talk about and that we're funny as fuck, because that's typically what we do. Love you guys. Talk to you soon. Peace.
¿Dónde está mi teléfono?